Hey everybody! Now in a previous video I showed you how to draw this horse jumping, and I wanted to do a quick video on how I go about adding in my textures and shading and shadowing using this horse here. So if you haven't seen the how to draw this horse video, go ahead and click the link that's in the description box below and it will take you right over there, and then come back to this video and we will shade and shadow this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually working with kind of a with a medium kind of pencil. I'm using a B here, but you can use whatever kind of pencil you like. I'll probably also be switching over to a 2B. I also have a 4B that I might pull in for some really super dark areas, but it's truly whatever you feel comfortable with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to begin looking for my lightest lights before I start anything, and I'm actually going to create my lightest lights by using my eraser. If I want to make this a realistic picture, I want to get rid of this illusion of outline, and so I'm going to actually really lighten my outline line up first. I have a lot of people that just they don't get frustrated or angry, but they get really confused that I draw all these lines and then I proceed to go back and erase a good majority of all those lines that I work so hard to put in there. And that's because I put the lines in dark so that you guys can see them in the tutorials, but when I go ahead and switch this from a kind of really illustrated picture to more of a realistic picture, you want to get rid of that outline. An outline will automatically cartoonify your picture. So if you're going for realistic, get rid of those outlines. You are going to create your line using values of color or shading, how dark or light something is, but not with an outline. So just kind of go back through just very gently and clean up all these harsh lines. And I'm not going to clean them up as dark or as much as I would have, because I want you still to be able to see, but you can see it's pretty well smudged out. Alright, once I have everything kind of cleaned up, now I'm going to be looking for my darkest darks. I'm going to be laying those darks into here. So the second leg back here that's on the far side of the horse is really caught in shadow, so I'm going to darken that in. What it's going to do is going to push that back and bring the front leg forward. Anything you put in dark is going to usually push things back, and anything that's caught with light is going to bring it forward. So I want to go ahead and do that. So there we go. Now it doesn't look like much right now. It just looks like a really weird thick line. So now I'm going to start adding in, finding some other places that I want to add some shadow. So I'm going to put some shadow right down under here and bring that out. So there's a nice dark shadow right under there. And I'm going to put his eye in there. Now there's no method to where you have to start or go to next. I just kind of wherever, you know, my pencil decides to go, that's where I jump over to. Sometimes I will start from the opposite side of my dominant hand. So I'm left-handed, so I'll start at the right hand side of the paper and I'll work this way and go this way with the drawing. That way I'm not smudging as I go. I sometimes do that, not all the time, but it just kind of helps me. Sometimes I'll just do it as I kind of balance things out a little bit. Sometimes, I don't know, there's no rhyme or reason to how I do it. I'm just kind of looking for those really dark areas that can kind of push back in some nice shadows. Same thing here with the other back leg there. I'm going to shadow that out to pop this one forward. Alright, once you have your really darkest dark places in there, this horse is kind of a gray all the way around. I'm going to use the side of my pencil, so I'm not going to get that really fine line. By using the side, I get kind of this really overall color. And I'm just going to pull in some color into the horse. I'm also being careful of where I want my highlights to be, where the light is reflecting off of his skin. And I can always go back and erase. Again, I'm going in nice and light. And I want to indicate his muscles and his shoulder and a little bit of this barrel. So you'll notice that I'm bringing a little bit of shadow down right behind where his shoulder is, and then letting it go back out for that barrel. And that's just gonna bring out a little bit of that dimension. And then I'm gonna bring a little bit of shadow underneath him. And right underneath his legs, you'll see that I'm kind of outlining with a shadow his leg there. Instead of using a line to go I'm using a shadow to do that. Same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead and just pull in some shadows over his muscles. But when I get to where that leg would be, I'm going to stop. What that does, it just allows me to connect that as a line, even though I'm just using it, I'm using a shape of a shadow to create that. Gather some of the muscles that are in his neck. It's kind of a dance, you know, you add a little bit of color, you add a little highlight, add a little color, you can go back and erase it. You're just trying to find that just perfect little medium that you want. Just finding those muscles and just kind of creating a shadow around them just really then helps to pop those out of there. And again, finding those muscles and knowing about your anatomy is just going to come from you studying it, looking at pictures, and drawing that. You know, you don't have to draw the whole horse. If you want to do a study on the muscles in the leg, just draw 100 horse legs in different angles, doing different things, and look at how they're flexed and how what things are standing out, what things aren't. Get anatomy books and see actually what the muscles are doing, what they are, and what's going on underneath the skin. It's really going to help you in your anatomy drawing of anything, not just horses, but of people, of animals, of, you know, all sorts of things. Even when I create, you know, a made-up creature like a centaur, I'm studying the anatomy of a horse and the anatomy of a human torso so that I can combine those two together and still create something that looks realistic, and I can get that nice muscle structure going on in there. When you're drawing the tail or the mane, use your strokes to go with you. Draw them out in the direction that the hair would actually be flowing. And don't color and fill it all the way in. Allow your strokes to create shadow and highlight within the strands themselves. Once you have the color laid down, then you can flip from using the side of your pencil to going back in and using the tip just to add, you know, that pattern or texture of individual hairs. Just to kind of put a few here and a few there. So right here, if you look, I have a bit of an outline. I have a shadow here and a shadow here, but I've created this line there, and automatically that takes that and makes it illustrated. So I'm going to take my pencil and erase that line out of there. Now I can go back with the side of my pencil and pull in some of the texture and pull that there, but when you take that line out, it just automatically helps to create that kind of view of a realistic drawing. When you're doing realistic drawings with a pencil or something like this, it's just time and effort. That minute amount of detail is just really going to begin to pay off. The more you put into a drawing, the better it's going to get when it comes to something like this. Now there's some art forms that you want to do really fast and you don't want to have a lot of planning and you don't want to overwork it. But I think with pencil sketches, especially when you're going for that intricate detail, it's just all about time. Detail can't be rushed. You just have to let the picture take its pace. You know, sometimes I have to take little breaks, rest my hand on some of the bigger ones that I do, and that's okay. Just don't give up, don't rush it, don't be like, oh, okay, I've got to get going. I only have a half an hour to draw this, I need to finish this up, and so you rush your drawing and then it just doesn't turn out. You know, if you have to stop it and come back the next day and work on it, or even a week later, go ahead and allow yourself to have that time to come back and finish it. It was one of the criterias with my finding the camera that I have. I didn't want one that had a time limit to how long it would record videos. Several out there that are really good, but they only record 10 minutes at a time. And true, I could just, start another video, but I get so focused in my drawing, I want to, don't want to have to worry about stopping and starting a video and what happens if I miss something and not paying attention. So really, I always wanted to find a camera that just would record and record and record until the memory cards all were used up. So that was always really important to me, so I'm not feeling rushed. If I have an obligation during the day that I know I'm going to have to go and do something, I generally don't start a really time-consuming or detailed picture. I'll wait till I come home. I know that I have, the rest of the evening just to work, or I'll wait till I have a day that's just the day to do this drawing. I might, if I have a day where I'm just really, really busy and just don't have time to do long drawing, I'll just do lots of little sketches and kind of practice on little parts of whatever it is I'm going to do in my final sketch. I've actually drawn this horse out several times in preparation for this video, and so it's good to just kind of practice things out so that you can go back in and have that time to get that detail in there. So you'll see I'm now starting to use just lines to kind of create my shading and shadowing, and it's just a technique that I'm trying out. It's a technique that one of my favorite horse artists does in their drawings, and I really, really like it. So I thought, I want to try that out, see if I can capture the magic that they have in their drawings. See what I can do. That's such a big thing, is no matter what kind of art you're into, finding someone, even if they're not able to physically personally mentor you, they can't look at your work and critique it, finding someone who you can observe their artwork and imitate and learn from as they produce their work is a great way to learn. I really wanted to work for Disney for a long time and just studied everything I could get from animators, and not just the final product. My favorite thing was to watch the makings of different shows. I was more excited sometimes about those than I was about watching the actual animation. Watch the making of Aladdin, the making of Beauty and the Beast, the making of Lion King. I would go and get the books, art of books, and just study and still it's my favorite, is those really fast drawn sketches of the characters. You just see all the underlining lines, the lines that they use to create the shapes and the face diagrams out. Oh, I love those. It's my favorite type of art. It's just raw. So I encourage you. I have a lot of you guys who have commented and written to me saying that you have aspirations of being an animator. Find an animator that would be the job that you would want, working on that cartoon or that feature, and just study their work, study how they did things, what I did. My animator that I just studied, loved his work, was Eric Goldberg. He was the animator for Disney's Aladdin. He did the genie, and he worked on Hercules, and he worked on Pocahontas. Just an amazing, amazing person with his animation and just his take on trying new things. And I loved watching it, and so I studied a lot of his work. I loved Glenn Keane. Studied a lot of his work. He, of course, actually was the head animator for Little Mermaid, for Ariel herself. So just find those people that you're like, yeah, if I could work with that person, that would be amazing. And even though you might not ever be able to talk to them personally, just by studying what they do, you can learn so much. And figure out, if they do something and you're not understanding why do they do that, ask yourself, Why did they make those lines? So I finally learned the importance of guidelines and building up your shapes. I used to just do, the outline drawing, and I did some okay drawings with it. I could draw okay with it, but I just noticed that every single animator that I wanted to be like did that. They made those outlines, they made the guidelines, they made the measurement lines. And if they did it, being as amazing as they were, there had to be a reason. And so I just began studying it and finally clicked and realized how important that was and how I wanted to portray my art. It just helped me to learn it as well. It was a hard thing to learn, but knowing that they had learned it and that there was a value behind it really just helped. I had a few art teachers that would, tell me to do certain things, but they never told me why. Why are we drawing a bowl of fruit? I don't want to draw a bowl of fruit. I don't want to draw a tape dispenser. But they just told me, you just have to draw this, man. Just draw it. That's what the assignment is. And they didn't tell me what I was looking for. That's the problem I have with some art teachers, is them not telling you. Had they told me, I want you to draw the bowl of fruit because I want you to look for positive and negative shapes. I want you to look for value. I want you to see the intersecting lines. Whatever it was that they were trying to get me to learn, I didn't learn it because they didn't tell me what I was learning. And so I kind of would rebel against it. And I would draw it, but I was drawing not with a learning heart. I was drawing with a begrudged heart. And I was like, yeah, you can make me draw a tape dispenser, but I don't have to like it. And yeah, it was until I actually respected the teachers that I had, and that I could ask them, why am I doing this? And they could tell me. That's when I really started to learn a lot with my art teachers. So ask questions. There's never a dumb question. When you're shading your horse, also don't just cover it all up with the same amount of lead. You'll notice I have nice darks, but then it's the white of the paper here, and then it's dark again, and then it gets lighter again, then it gets dark again, then it gets light again. And if you just cover everything with the same level of lead, then it's just the same as if you didn't color it with lead, except you just have a darker shape. Use your lead and your values to work for you, to help to portray that, what you're trying to accomplish in your realistic drawing here. I'm going to throw a little bit of a shadow down here. Just across there. I don't know what he's jumping. He's jumping for no reason. He's a jumping horse. He likes to jump. Oh, there we go. We have our horse with some nice shading and shadowing on there, and I yammered your guys' ear off, so well, hopefully you learned something new with that. And if you have any questions, I know I asked my art teachers lots and lots of questions when I would take lessons from them, but maybe you don't have an art teacher to ask questions from. Go ahead and ask me those questions in the back, and if it's something that I can answer you in a comment, I will definitely do that. If it's something that I need to explain visually, then I'll try to make a tutorial on that, because a lot of you guys have expressed that for right now I get to be your art teacher, and I'm honored that some of you guys consider me your teacher. So I really want to teach you, and to be able to do that, I need to know what things you're struggling with, what things you're not understanding, what things are frustrating you, so that I can begin to help you to see why do we do these things, why does this need to work, or why doesn't that work. So you just keep communicating with me. Let me know in the comments. You can private message me. You can talk to me on Facebook. I try to answer back as many comments as I possibly can. So yeah. Well, thank you guys for drawing with me today. And until next time, God bless you guys. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.